Hello and welcome to an informal talk about offshoring. My name is Victoria Nolasco, and today I'd like to introduce to you one of my best clients, Col Levander from RatesCalc, who's going to talk to us about some of the opportunities and challenges of offshoring to the Philippines. Hi, Col. Welcome.
Hi, Vic. Nice to see you.
Now, I've got some questions written down that I'd like to ask you.
Okay.
My first one is, what were the business drivers and decisions that inspired you to consider the BPO option, and why the Philippines?
Good question. I think a whole host of reasons. I guess we were a startup business. We're a technology company with our head office in Australia, like all startups, some of us are maybe a little bit underfunded. May not have enough cash behind us. And looking at the BPO option was certainly something that we'd considered as part of the overall business strategy. So that was the reason, quite frankly. And I guess understanding the country, the culture, all of those bits and pieces, which we'll cover off, I'm sure, in this conversation today, will be something that that we have to take into a very strong consideration.
Great. I also think the time zone's great for Australia.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. We looked at a number of other countries. So we looked at Malaysia. We looked at Vietnam. Before the war in Ukraine, we looked at Ukraine. We certainly looked at India. We found that the time zone was really good because it basically lines up with WA time, so that works well for us. And most importantly for us was also being able to service our client base, because we use staff in the customer success area as well. So India was just a bit more of a stretch, an extra 4 hours or so. Vietnam was an extra hour or so. Yeah, not too much of a difference really. Just language difficulties. But 2 hours is nothing really. So it would work perfectly really.
And would you say the education level and the level of English in the Philippines was a driver as well?
No question at all. Being in the Philippines and understanding and conversing a lot with Filipinos, and it's much easier. Obviously, we don't necessarily convey ourselves well enough, I think, sometimes in our explanations. So that's something that you really have to work on.
Yeah, I would say clarity and reflection are important in that you give clear instruction and then you ask them to reflect back to you that they really understood what you said. And during that time, then you can correct anything that might not have come through.
For sure.
What would you say the top 5 challenges you've faced in your business while heading along this path? What is your advice to others considering the Philippines as an option?
Look, I think the key thing really is making sure that you've got your processes right. I think leading with your first hire here obviously is an important one. It's always important to get that first hire right. Someone that may be a little bit more senior, so it might cost you a little bit more money. But someone who's committed, a little bit older perhaps, and can potentially assume like a leadership role or a team leadership role.
Yeah, senior person to start with. Yeah.
I think that's important. But definitely process. We've worked really, really hard on being able to, like we've produced videos for our marketing efforts. As RatesCalc being a great place to work, as in BSA, but also, process documentation, onboarding documentation, all of those things, and just getting those expectations right, which is no different to what you do hiring in Australia, locally, or any country for that matter.
I agree.
We experienced, like everyone's got their COVID stories, we experienced those challenges during COVID. Work from home, hybrid arrangements, on, off. We all had those times. But really making sure that you've got your structures in terms of the way that your business needs to run, and having the staff complement there to be able to support the particular roles that they're actually performing.
Absolutely. Well, that kind of leads me into what sort of roles were you sourcing when you first started out? And how has that changed over the years since working with the Philippines?
Yeah, I guess we've had initially developers. So we're a software development company. So developers were the first. Following on from that was customer success and testing. And we have tried different roles that haven't quite worked for us. And that's okay, it would have cost us, well, it would have cost us a hell of a lot more making those mistakes in Australia than what it did here in the Philippines.
Absolutely. Now, I've written down some things that people could think about before they're going to offshore. And you've covered thinking about what tasks could easily be offshored.
Yeah.
Have some performance metrics in place.
Sure.
A clear, concise job description with qualifications, some of which are essential and some of which are nice to have. Decide if the role will be home or office-based.
Mm-hmm.
We discussed earlier, make your first hire a senior, especially if you're thinking of infilling with other team members, and maybe save some money on the others, but make your first one a good one.
Yeah.
Hire or assign someone in Australia to manage the team. Have a really good go-to person for their questions. Educate yourself and your Australian team on the Philippine culture. I mean, there's 7,000 islands, 2 main languages. The weather is wet tropics, but there's many universities and colleges, and English is education's in English.
Yeah.
We can always set a test to give to our applicants to ensure their ability.
Yep.
And as you have been, be open with your Australian team and let them know you're thinking of offshoring. Make it a positive conversation around how this extra support will help the company grow to ensure more work for your locals. With almost 10 years experience working in the Philippines, I truly do know what it's like for many different businesses in every sort of area you can imagine, what the hardships are, what the positives are.
Yeah.
And it's free to have a conversation, especially if you're just thinking about it. I know unemployment is quite low in Australia at the moment. It's hard to find some of the skills people that you want. And because of competition, it makes the salaries in Australia really go through the roof a bit, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah. Look, and I think, at the end of the day, it's an old saying of mine, but it's always a candidate market anyway. It's always hard to find good candidates, and, the Philippines is no different. So my view on that is that, it's about the teachable fit. Run through your various processes and tests, and, in the interest of not talking too much about that here, and we can pick that up at another time, Vic.
Sure.
We have implemented, things such as, the European framework for English testing. We do have a standard and minimum standard.
Sure.
If we do find the right person that we feel is fantastic, for us, but the English may not quite be where we'd like them to be. We've paid for training and education over a period of time, and put things in place to measure their performance and their progress.
Yeah. Look, your business has scaled significantly since we first met.
Yeah.
Which is great to see. Congratulations.
Thank you. Having the relationship with Victoria has been invaluable, quite frankly.
Thank you.
I like to have that buffer between the BPO and our business. Victoria is a trusted advisor to our organisation. If I've got some ideas I want to bounce off, I call Vic, and we workshop it together. The principles of some people are yet to be desired, as we all know. That's not just in the Philippines; it's elsewhere.
I do appreciate the accolades. How would you say then BSA has worked out for you, being an exceptional service provider?
Look, BSA, it's an overused term, but BSA are a true partner. BSA have aligned to our processes in that regard. In fact, they've adopted a lot of those processes themselves, so they've learnt off us. They've got great initiatives, both from a staff development perspective, which is hats off to them. And I've seen it firsthand here. And I think, culturally too as well. I think the lot of very lovely people in BSA, but the support services function, and like any business, you look at, okay, well, where can we save $1, or, how can we sharpen things up here, reduce our overhead costs and the like. The cost of the service that we get for what we get here was extremely affordable.
I think it cuts out, you don't have to go through all the government
there's all
issues,
that stuff.
There's too much.
Yeah, there's all those things.
I wrote down a few points. They have a dedicated CEO who works and lives in Cebu and has previous experience as a CPA and an operations manager. And I think for small to medium enterprises, it's great to be dealing with somebody who's operationally very organized. It's helpful.
Yes.
She is also very approachable and available to her teams. We have a central city location here, close to the main transport hub.
Yeah.
So it's a secure, modern, supportive work environment, great HR and recruitment team. This office is as modern as any that I've worked in Australia. Fast internet, backup generator if the power goes down. Performance coaches assigned to clients and their teams for day-to-day communications. So there are a lot of reasons to choose BSA.
And we'll continue to do so as well. The sourcing talent is always a challenge, as I mentioned earlier. But the support that we get, even when we've been preparing for 27001 and the national standard for data security, and nothing's been a bother, nothing's been trouble. There's no, it's been easy to work with. And at the end of the day, business is hard enough.
So, Col, how would you describe the facilities here at BSA?
I think a lot of people have the perception of BPOs as being, more of a call centre type environment. And sure, it can be. We've got 12 staff here now in Cebu, and we've got our own dedicated office. So that's up to negotiation, I suppose, with BSA. Not just in terms of as you scale the business, but also, maybe you really like the team at BSA and you're looking to transition. That may sound a little bit contradictory, but I disagree. I'm certainly seeing a trend of people wanting to come back to the office. And this office is first class. Like, honestly, it's got its own catering facilities, plenty of fridge room, there's heaps of space, I can't fault it really.
Who doesn't want to work in a lovely air-conditioned office when you're in a hot country? And
honestly, in your 5 minutes, you're literally straight across the road from the main shopping mall in Cebu, in Ayala. So everything's there. So from a convenience perspective, transport's close. It's close to the PUV terminal for the jeepneys, for people coming in from some of the barangays. It's just handy. It's in a great spot. So why wouldn't it? Really?
Absolutely. No, I agree with you. It's a great place to work.
Our relationship with our staff is they're our staff, right? We treat them as our staff. BSA just happens to pay them. And they also do all of the key functions that we don't have staff here to do.
Well, their salaries, their private health, they take their tax, all of that.
Yeah, and and that's a really big selling point, I have to say. Your private health and your HMO, as they call it here. We live in a world of acronyms, but the health piece is really important because it's expensive. So it's a great value add.
Yes, I know that BSA pays for the member of staff's private health and also one member of their family.
Yeah, that's right. And
it's up to the client. If they want to pay private health for all of the family, they can.
And a discounted rate, for additional family members.
Yeah.
As well as offering of education, which is free, and all other types of services that, typically you would see in Australia. Things such as like mental health support and things like that.
I think clients can have confidence in choosing BSA.
No question.
Well, I'm glad to hear all that. And from my part, I'd like to say thank you to you for your enthusiasm for trying new ways to improve in all areas of your business. You've taken the time to understand the Philippine culture. You have a good support team in Australia, and you've strived to find the best working environment for your offshore team. You've always been clear, I guess because of your background in recruitment, about your recruiting requirements.
Yeah.
You've always been approachable and ready to brainstorm new ideas and share knowledge, just as we're doing today.
Yeah. So look, my message, I guess, out there to my network is that I'm always available to catch up with you. If you've got any questions whatsoever on my experience with BSA, with Vic, and our strategies and what we've deployed here, more than happy to give you some of my time. This suits a lot of businesses, but you've got to explore it. And my recommendation is, just keep striving for innovation.
Yeah.
You've just got to keep your options open, and offshoring, outsourcing, whatever you want to call it. It's not new. There's a lot of people doing it. Our market, by default, is recruitment. There's a considerable amount of recruitment businesses that are offshoring parts of their functions over to the Philippines. Candidate management, sourcing, CV formatting. I know some of those jobs are starting to be removed with the use of artificial intelligence and robotic process automation and things like that. But still, the English is good. The communication is not really a problem. Yeah. And, there are many, many ways where you can offshore parts of your business. And at the end of the day, and I'm really speaking primarily about recruitment, is you can get rid of some of the mundane stuff, pass it across over here, get those processes in place, and get your recruiters and your client-facing staff in your business doing what they love doing most, and that's in getting in front of their clients and growing your business. So that to me is a winner all day, every day.
To sum up, I'd like to thank you. I'd like to thank you for trusting me. We appreciate having you as our client, and hopefully we'll do a few more videos like this in the future. Well, look, thank you so much for your time.
Pleasure.
And I look forward to doing this again.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks,
Col.
And good luck to BSA. Thank you.
Thank you.